Okay guys, today we're gonna go down south to Brazil and we're gonna make a cheese bread that's called Pão de Queijo. I actually lived in Brazil for 18 months and the region that I was in was called João Pessoa, and they didn't actually have this kind of bread in the area that I was in, but I knew a lot of Brazilians that knew this bread, and so I learned to love it and make it. And I have a recipe that is so good. I know you can buy the little bags if you've tried them at Costco. They're pretty good, but the fresh stuff is so much better. And then you really understand why those little packages of bread cost so much. But it's called, what's it called?
Pão de Queijo.
Pão de Queijo. Pão means bread. G is like of, so it's bread of cheese, queijo. So anyway, there's your little Portuguese lesson for today. So first of all, what you need is some feta cheese, kind of a lot of it. This is gonna make a lot of bread though. So you can actually make these, ball them up and freeze them, and then when you want more, you just take them out of the freezer and pop them in the oven and bake them, and they're super good, like no difference. So it does make a ton, so you need a lot of feta cheese, that's the cheese part. You need tapioca flour, which can sometimes be hard to find. So I got this from Winco in the bulk section, and it's just their tapioca flour. But the better kind is the azedo, which is the sour tapioca, but it is just fine if you can't find it to just get the regular tapioca flour. And then you need 8 eggs, 6 tablespoons of butter, a half a tablespoon of salt, and 1 cup of cold water, and that's all it is. So you do need a scale for this, unless you buy things already like perfectly pre-measured, but it does need a scale because you need it to be pretty precise. So first of all, we're gonna weigh our feta cheese. Now, this is a really weird number, but you need 2.83 pounds of feta cheese, 2.83. So most scales, this is actually my cheaper scale. I have a nicer scale, the battery's dead. This one I end up liking better. So what you do, we're gonna measure it in this bowl. So when you turn it on, it's going to calibrate it to have this bowl be 0. So whatever you put in here is what it's gonna weigh now.
Oh, because it is 0.
Because now it's 0, yeah, because we turned it on with the bowl on it. So you can change the units. This one has different units. You can use ounces, grams, or pounds on this. So let's put it at pounds. Okay, you open that one. Now the thing about this bread is that it does stink. It reminds me of like baby throw up, but I love it in salad and I love this bread. Tell me when I go 2.83.
83.
Woo! Yes, there's some feta cheese leftovers for me to have some salad. Yum. Okay, do you want to put that in the mixing bowl, Jules?
Huh?
No, you guys, I've made this in a KitchenAid and it's a lot for a KitchenAid. You do need a bigger mixer. If you don't have a bigger mixer, maybe try having this recipe, or you can like do it by hand if that's possible. So 1 kilo is about 2.2 pounds if it doesn't do kilos. So we just want 1. Okay, we are gonna carefully put this in. Now it's okay to just put all of this stuff in at once. It does end up being really thick, or else I think I would probably use my paddles, but I'm using my bread hooks for this because it is a bread and it'll be fine. Let's do the salt. We're just gonna use kosher salt. You can use regular salt for this, it's fine. 1/2 tablespoon, which actually is 1.5 teaspoons. Either way. Okay, then we need 6 tablespoons of butter. We actually don't, we want to separate it. What I'm saying is we want like little slices of it, not just one big chunk of butter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this is a quartz countertop, so it's okay if we cut on it, but if you have something more delicate and plastic or something, try not to cut on your counter. So now we're gonna put this chunked butter into our mix. So after we get the butter in, we're gonna put our eggs in, and we need 8 eggs. Jules is gonna crack them into here to make sure we don't get any shells, and I'm just gonna start cracking. So you do 4, I'll do 4. Okay, eggs, now we just need 1 cup of cold water. Okay, we have our cold water. Okay, you wanna make sure that this has its lid on because that tapioca flour is really light and it will like make a big cloud. Okay, one. Always one. Okay, what we forgot was at the beginning of this video, you should turn on your oven to 405 degrees. I know, it's kind of weird. 405 though, do it. So these do puff up a little bit, but not too much, so you can actually put quite a bit on a sheet pan. So this is a number 50 scoop. So we're gonna scoop them out just because it's quality control. So you're controlling what size these are so that they're all a standard size and they all look the same rather than some being huge and some being small, and then that makes it so some cook faster or slower than others, and so they're not all done at the same time. So quality control is using a certain size of scoop to make them all the same. I am doing it on parchment paper. Sometimes on parchment paper it makes it so you don't have to spray. For some reason I still just spray. So what I'll do is I'll put them all on a sheet pan and I will freeze them just like this. I'll put a lid on them and I'll put them in the freezer. No, I'm gonna bake some, don't you worry. We're gonna bake some. As soon as this pan is done, we're gonna bake them. But the ones that I don't wanna make, I'm not gonna bake them. I'm just gonna leave them just like this. You can even put them closer together to make more, so you can fit more on a sheet pan. And then as soon as they're frozen, you take them off and they're solid balls. And then you put them in a Ziploc bag and keep them in like a freezer safe Ziploc bag. And then you can freeze them for up to 3 months. Oh, oven's ready. Okay, let's put them in. And put them in the middle rack for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes and our Pão de Queijo is done. Look at that. They're super hot right now, but they're golden brown. That's what you want them to be. Okay, I'm gonna get one and I'm just gonna break it open for you. Look at it, it's kind of like gummy inside. Super hot. When we let these cool down a little bit, they will create kind of a crunchy outside. And then, anyway, and then they're just really good. So they're good hot. These are really hot because they literally just came out of the oven. Or you can wait a few minutes. They're even good. They're not quite as good the next day. That's why, like in Brazil, they make them fresh every day when they eat them, or they just freeze them and make them fresh again the next day because they're not my favorite the next day. But that's what you do. Pão de Queijo. Make these, enjoy. Pão de Queijo. Subscribe to our channel, share these with your friends, share our channel with your friends, follow us on Facebook and Instagram where you can find more on what we're doing. Thanks. Bye. Ciao. If you can go to, it's like leave.
What are you doing?
So we're gonna put the cute, why am I having a hard time with this? This chunked, okay. Do you wanna dry them or should we just sit here and wait for them to air dry?